Hi everyone, welcome back to the Acsom Bulletin. It's Tuesday afternoon, it's double trouble today. It's just myself, joined by Lawrence Conley. It's been a long week, Lawrence. I know there's that old cliche, a week's a long time in football. It's a week since Celtic last competed in a competitive match due to fixture postponements and whatnot. That Real Madrid game seems like a long time ago just now, doesn't it?
It does indeed, mate. But, what a game, what a performance. Certainly the first half. Maybe a game of what ifs. Abada kind of snatches at his chance. McGregor shot staying out. Maeda could have done better. But, yeah, it was, I think, all in all, still a decent performance against arguably the world's most successful club.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The current European champions as well. We knew what kind of task we were going to face. We were on last Tuesday before the game with Natasha, and we were getting really excited about it. I think that excitement was probably building even more by the time we'd got to half time in the game. We'd went toe to toe with Real Madrid. We'd created big chances. It was one of those things, though, Lawrence, that in those type of games you need to take the chances. Unfortunately, we didn't. We got punished for it. But I think that the current Celtic group will learn a lot from that game, which should hopefully stand us in good stead for tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think maybe a wee bit of stage fright, some of them a wee bit overawed. I think, especially Abada chance, he's got time to take a touch, hasn't he? And the shot's not the best. He more or less just passes it back into keeper's arms. But yeah, they'll learn from that. It's a young team. It's a decent performance. Many of them playing the Champions League for the first time. So yeah, I think the team will grow from that tomorrow night. It's a huge game for us now, isn't it? Especially Shakhtar probably getting an unexpected result. You need to take something from the game tomorrow. You wouldn't want to be 6 points behind Shakhtar after tomorrow. So I think we really need to take something from this game.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I know yesterday there was the launch of Wim Janssen's book, Mastermind it's called. I think it's out in the Celtic shop now. I take it it's the book that came out, I think, at the start of the year. Obviously it was in Dutch then, but I think it's now been fully translated into English. It was one of his wishes, which was launched yesterday by Simon Donnelly, Tom Boyd and Paul Lambert, as well as some of Wim's family. And yeah, so that's out just now, and Lambert was talking to the press after the book launch, and he was saying, you need to look at this game that Shakhtar's he thinks is the dodgy team in the group, especially after that 4-1 victory in match day 1, which I think is going to stand them in right good stead going into this. But I think, as you say, Lawrence, you can't be 6 points behind them by match day 2, and that's why tomorrow night it's important that Celtic take something from the game.
Yeah, listen, I think that the players will go in and we're in good form. So after the performance against Real Madrid, I think they'll be kicking themselves. They didn't take something. They didn't take their chances. So yeah, I think we'll take something from it. And I think we've got to. It's huge. It'd be a mountain to climb if you're 6 points behind Shakhtar after match day 2. But we'll see what tomorrow brings. But what? Will we stick with the same team? Is the big question on your away? We'll see. We'll see what Ange does.
Yeah, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about maybe some team selections. Obviously, as I've said, and everybody knows, we didn't get the opportunity to take on Livingston on Saturday, although other sports across the UK still went ahead. So we didn't, have that wee kind of game in the middle. Whether that will serve as well or have affected it at all, we'll soon see tomorrow night. Every other team in our group were out playing at the weekend. Real Madrid won 4-1 against, I think it was Mallorca they were actually playing at the weekend. RB Leipzig beat Dortmund 3-0. I want to chat about them a wee bit because obviously there's been a bit of a changing of the guard there with the Bundesliga outfit, and Shakhtar again won at the weekend. So all teams in our group in winning form. Celtic the only team not to be playing at the weekend. But in terms of team selection, Lawrence, one of the big things that we spoke about going into the game last week was the dilemma between Kyogo, who had sustained that injury against Rangers with his shoulder, came on obviously later in the match, and Georgios Giakoumakis. I don't think Giakoumakis did himself any harm in the game at all against Real Madrid. I thought the big man ran his heart out. Do you think that Postecoglou could be tempted to bring Kyogo back into this game tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think he might start him. I think he might look for a bit more guile up front. Hopefully, Kyogo's, the time off served Kyogo well on his recovery. But as you said, Giakoumakis, I thought, didn't do his reputation any harm at all against Madrid. He didn't look out of place on the park. So with our front six, most of them are going to get minutes, don't you? Kyogo and Giakoumakis, you expect a change to happen at some point with them. You expect both of them to get minutes in the game. Hatate, I thought, was outstanding. My tip for Player of the Year. I thought brilliant against Madrid. I think he's got to keep his position. I think that's him and Callum nailed it down. And it's up top, isn't it? Is it Matt Riley? I think Yota's a starter now, isn't he? Guaranteed. So probably Matt Riley. Then is it Maeda or Abada? It's becoming a bit more predictable. So it's Giakoumakis or Kyogo, Maeda or Abada. I think who starts out the front six is the dilemma. Although, we did touch on it last week, there's a chance that Ange might eventually play a double pivot. Maybe he'll fancy it away in Europe. He might fancy Aaron Moy and Kalmak in the midfield. But, just the way Rio played last week, it's kind of hard to see him dropping out.
Yeah, Rio Hatate, I thought, was excellent in the game last week. I thought Callum McGregor was my standout man of the match, Lawrence. But yeah, I totally agree with that one. And Hatate, I think that point you make in Abada and Maeda is another really interesting one, because obviously we see Abada get that big chance earlier in the game, that one that you spoke about there, and he's unfortunate. I don't know if it was a bit of stage fright or whatnot, but I think the term is probably undroppable after his performance against Rangers the previous Saturday game. Get into that. Then Maeda comes on at half time and he gets a huge chance, which again, I think he maybe gets a wee bit of stage fright from. Do you think that Ange maybe just goes with Maeda tomorrow night, or does he stick with Abada? It's really hard, this one, because as I say, we're not having that game at the weekend. You've not been able to kind of dust the cobwebs off of Real Madrid.
Yeah, it would have been good, to get back to winning ways, wouldn't it? Give them a wee boost, but maybe a wee bit of downtime, kind of freshen them up a bit, because they ran their hearts out against Real. I think maybe if Kyogo starts, it'll be Maeda, but if Giakoumakis starts, he might start with Abada. So I think it's going to depend who starts up top. Who's your centre forward as to which one of those two start.
Yeah, we'll soon see. Few of our commenters coming in. Thanks for everybody that's commenting the show. Michael Ross coming in to say that he thinks a win tomorrow gives the squad a big confidence boost, no doubt about that. And Donny Boy 67 also came in to say that he believes tomorrow's game is going to be hard, harder than we're thinking, and in his opinion it's a tricky game coming up, and he believes that they need at least a point. Lawrence, I'll throw that one over to you then. Is tomorrow a game you just can't lose?
Yeah, definitely. We touched at the beginning. I don't think we can afford to be 6 points behind Shakhtar. That was a huge result for them last week. So, yeah, I don't think we can afford to be 6 points behind them after match day 2. So, a draw away from home is not the worst. Ideally, you want 3 points, but I think a loss, it really leaves you with a mountain to climb. Especially if, we've got to be aiming for second place in this group after Real, haven't we? So, if you want to get second place, if you're 0 out of 6 points, you're going to do it the hard way, aren't you?
Yeah, but you probably need to do it the hard way, which I think at times could be described as doing it the Celtic way. Just to bring in a comment here saying that he believes that Shakhtar will go for it massively. Obviously, an emphatic 4-1 victory last week against RB Leipzig. So we need to match that intensity or contain them. Shakhtar will basically clinch second place by beating us, because after 2 games ourselves in Leipzig will be zilcho. He believes that Real Madrid will beat Leipzig comfortably tomorrow evening. Lawrence, what's your take on that one? Because Celtic certainly showed that they could match Real Madrid's intensity. I do believe Shakhtar will be gung-ho at Celtic in this game, but it will be a game that I think last season we proved, even in our away form, that we could go and match teams, and I think that was something that Ange Postecoglou was keen to stress last week before the Real Madrid game. We went to Bayer Leverkusen, ran them very, very close. We beat Ferencváros away from home, which was a tough game. And in Betis, with a very poor Celtic side, in the grand scheme of things, we ran them very close too. We don't want it to be we ran them very close and didn't get anything, but I think I've probably seen enough from performances in Europe last year that could suggest that we could go to Shakhtar and definitely pick up a point, if not all 3.
Listen, we've got goals in us, but we scored away from home last season, so we've got goals in us. For me, it is a must. a must-win tie if we want to go for second place. Draw's not a bad result, but I think really second place, you'd expect Real to beat Leipzig and they end up in 6, Leipzig in 0. And if we beat Shakhtar, you're going, well, at least we've played Real, they haven't. We're level pegging with them. We've had the away game against them. For Shakhtar, it's massive. Their manager, commentator, the viewer's right, saying, he'll be saying, win this game, we're 6 points clear. Celtic, Leipzig in 0. It's just about managing it out for them. So I think this is absolutely huge for us. The team can do it. I think Ange will get them up, but Shakhtar have shown they're a decent team beating. With that result against Leipzig, Welsh Fed come back to haunt us. Who knows?
Well, there's a name that from the past that I think we'll need to touch on. He scored 2 goals last week again that victory against Leipzig, and he scored at the weekend once again. Marian Shved, we didn't see a lot of them in a Celtic jersey. I think it's only 2 or 3 appearances or so. The whole breakdown there, but by the end of his career at Celtic and whatnot. But he is back in his homeland. He's now at Shakhtar Donetsk. He's playing well there. There will be a current crop of the team, Greg Taylor and whatnot, that have played alongside Shved, so they'll know all about him. But he's definitely one to watch tomorrow night, and we need to contain him just due to his goal scoring form, even if it was a player that we didn't know anything about.
Yeah, listen, he's on form. The bits we saw him, we didn't see him a lot. He looked to have something about him. The rumours were he wasn't the best training or at training. I think that followed him to his next club, and then he had a bit of bust up with the manager and straightened things out. He seems to have got his career back on track. But yeah, he's someone we need to keep a close eye on. I'm sure the Ange and team will have done their video analysis and pinpointed their dangers. But the other hand, Ange's style, it's about how are they going to contain us as well. It's about putting him on the back foot to begin with, isn't it? Making them worry about our front six and what we'll do.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to bring in Ryan Kelly, he'll be one of his comments. This is our fixtures that are coming up the Champions League. Obviously, that double headers in there with RB Leipzig. It's Shakhtar away first, then we're away to Leipzig. Got them then at Celtic Park, home to Shakhtar, and then finishing up with the game at the Bernabeu. Lawrence, do you think possibly these 2 next games, away to Shakhtar and away to Leipzig, could possibly decide our future in the group potentially?
Yeah, you've got to take something from them, especially the Shakhtar game, with Leipzig having nothing. You wouldn't expect them to take anything against Real Madrid. So by the time we come to Leipzig, they could be sitting on 0 points. So could be right enough. But yeah, it is about the next 2 games. It's a short league, isn't it? I suppose it's an old cliche. It's always about your next game. But Shakhtar's absolutely huge for us. I think we've got to try and win this game. We've got to go for the 3 points. You take a point, you get Leipzig away. How much, but good as a point. Leipzig easily able to overtake you. Whereas if you've got the 3, it starts to Leipzig are playing catch up with you. Even if you get beat with Leipzig away, they're only drawn level. So yeah, a couple of wins would make this group look massively different for us. If we get 2 wins on the road.
Yeah, it would make it massively different. And I certainly think there's belief from the fans. You could see that collective last Tuesday evening at the end of the game that we can go and get it. We've got quality players and a team that we know that can go and get it. But I think what's going to be important, and it'll be something that the manager's emphasising to the players, is having a good performance against Real Madrid. Even though we didn't get anything from the game, a good performance against Real Madrid isn't going to translate into this game against Shakhtar Donetsk, that we think, because we've played Real Madrid already had a good performance, that we can replicate that. That's a very tough game.
Yeah, you're going to have to put the work in again. Ange tells them, we don't stop. So when that whistle goes, you've got it all to do again. It's all right. You've built, a decent game against Real Madrid, and people think, they perform well, but it really means nothing once the whistle goes. It's about the 11 versus the 11, and I think it's massive for us, and we really need to take something from us if we want to qualify from this group.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So just in terms of lineup selection dilemmas, do you think there are any? Do you think we could see any possible introductions? I know somebody mentioned Taksabanovic in the comments here. I think you might get a wee bit more minutes tomorrow night, but I think it'll be mainly the same side that played against Real Madrid. I think Kyogo might come into the team, and I also could possibly agree in that one with Daizen Maeda.
Yeah, I think Kyogo Maeda will work better. So I think if Kyogo starts, it's Maeda for Abada. If Giacomakis starts, I'll probably leave Abada in. Yeah, Haksabanovic, I thought he looked great against Madrid. Anytime I've seen him, he's not had a lot of minutes. I think he's looked a player. But how fit he is and how up to speed with our style he is, I don't know. So hopefully he gets a few more minutes. But I don't see him starting. But yeah, I think he'll come off the bench at some point.
Yeah, we'll soon see about that one. In terms of that result last week, Lawrence, I think that was probably more my worry when I came out of Celtic Park and I had a look at my phone and I seen that RB Leipzig had been beaten at home 4-1 by Shakhtar Donetsk. Donetsk probably caught Leipzig at a good time. They hadn't been in great form. Obviously, their manager, Tedesco, lost his job after that. They've brought in former RB Salzburg manager Marco Rose, who we know all about. We've had him at Celtic Park before. He's managed Borussia Dortmund. He's managed Borussia Mönchengladbach in Germany. One of our Acsom contributors, David Slate, someone who follows Borussia Mönchengladbach. He doesn't rate Marco Rose too much. I know it was a good victory for them at the weekend. He beat Dortmund 3-0. But of course, Marco Rose was the manager in the Europa League last season that his Dortmund side succumbed to a Scottish team. So his record isn't the best in Europe. He suits the bill at Leipzig. He's from there. But I think possibly, it'll be interesting to see how the Nets do tomorrow night too, because they obviously faced a team that were in a bit of a state before they played them. And, after Leipzig got the equaliser, they tore them apart very quickly. But it's going to be interesting to see how they go into this game tomorrow night, because maybe just last week they caught Leipzig at the right time.
Listen, they're going to get in full of confidence, aren't they? And they know this is huge for them. If 6 points out of the first two games, it would put them in a really strong position. They're at home I think they'll be going for it. They'll be thinking if we get the 6 points, we'll qualify from the group, because it's a long way to go. Leipzig have still got to go there. I think they'd be confident of going through in second place if they get 6 points. So, yeah, I think that it's going to be a fairly open game with both teams going for it.
Yeah, it'll be one that I'm looking actually forward to watching tomorrow night. There's a good contingent of Celtic fans headed over to Warsaw. Obviously, it's going to be played in Legion's ground due to the situation in Ukraine at this point in time. But there seems to be a real good uptake from the Ukrainians who have already settled in Poland, and also Polish fans going along to this game. Do you think there's any sort of advantage for Celtic? And it's going to be played in what you would deem a neutral ground. Obviously, Shakhtar are going to be using Legion's ground for the next 3 games. But do you think there's any positive for Celtic that this, isn't Shakhtar's own patch?
Nah, it's still an away game for us, isn't it? So I don't think there's any benefit from us. We're still playing an away game. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything advantageous to us about it not being in the Ukraine, as because of the situation there. But I think, away, you touched on it. We've done it last season. We showed in patches that we can compete. We score goals away. We just need to translate that into 90 minutes. And I suppose that was a problem last week. It was maybe a 55-minute performance. We really need a 90-minute performance in Europe.
Yeah, we certainly do need a 90-minute performance in Europe. And again, it's something that I touched on earlier when I was talking about Celtic in the Europa League last season. We can look at Leverkusen away from home and Betis away from home and saying, yeah, but they're a really great performance. We ran them close, but it is translating that kind of performance into points for Celtic, which is something that we need. And, looking at this group at this point in time, take Real Madrid out the equation, many would have said this was Celtic's probably best chance getting anywhere near second spot. If you look at, groups in previous years, Lawrence, to take our last 2 Champions League groups, when you had Bayern Munich and PSG in one of them, and you had Manchester City and Barcelona in one of them, this is probably one that you looked at, even though they're all great teams, and you thought, yeah, Celtic could probably really have a good go at Shakhtar and RB Leipzig.
Well, if you looked at your away games, you were going to go, what's the easiest one? Shakhtar, Leipzig, or Real? You'd probably say Shakhtar, wouldn't you? Well, before they destroyed Leipzig. But you'd have probably said Shakhtar. That's where we want to be going for 3 points, because you need to pick up points on the road. Leipzig, you'd be going, we'd be happy with a draw there, and we play Real in the last game. Hopefully Real will have qualified, and we maybe sneak something over there if they've already qualified. But yeah, I think you would have looked and said Shakhtar, that's where we'll pick up points on the road. Tomorrow night will tell, but I think the team's got it in them. We've definitely got goals on the road. We just need a 90-minute performance in Europe.
Yeah, I think we do, and I think the team would take a great confidence if we do get that. There's a few people asking in the comments about Celtic's ticket allocation. I know it was released by Celtic, I think, to try and get it up, but there is a good few going. But I think there was an expectancy, possibly, Lawrence, that because it wasn't being played in Ukraine, that Celtic might have received a higher amount of tickets, but the uptake from Polish fans and Ukrainians that have already settled in Poland since the outbreak of war in Ukraine has been really, really positive from their perspective. So Celtic are only getting the small away end, which obviously we were in for Arthur Boric's tribute match, whatever you want to call it, only a few months ago. So as I say, we've played in already in our pre-season, so that's a positive if you want to take that going into it. But we'll see how we get on tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a really, really tough game. I think everybody kind of reflects that in the comments at this point in time, but we'll see how we go. We've got one of the trickiest games out the way. I think it kind of suited us to have that Madrid game possibly at the start of the group, and then at the last game in the group, because I think everybody will be hoping that Madrid go through by then. It's going to be between now and then that I think decides Celtic's outcome in this group, and we'll just see how we get on. But yeah, hopefully we can go and do it. I think I'd be quite happy as long as we just don't lose the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, but I don't think we can afford to lose it. It would just leave you with an absolute mountain to climb. I think, between now and the next Madrid game, if you take 10 points from it, you would be hopeful of going through, wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, you absolutely would be. Just got it up here. Celtic's allocation for Shakhtar away is just over 1,500 tickets. The club received 1,550 tickets. So that end will be full. Celtic will be getting back to the hilt, and hopefully we can cheer. All the people over there can cheer on the boys to a good result. So we'll see how we get on. Lawrence, some strange news you could say yesterday. Tom Rogic, now a West Bromwich Albion player. There's been a lot obviously going in and around, different circles about he was going to quit football, that the player wanted to move back to Australia and whatnot. I know that there was a link with West Brom about a week or so ago, and yesterday there he is involved in the Baggies jersey. What was your initial thoughts in that move?
Yeah, I was absolutely shocked. I thought he'd at least got a Premiership team interested in him after his season last year, if he was staying in the UK. The rumours were strong that he wanted to be closer to Australia. Is Birmingham really that much closer? I don't know. I just find it strange. But he's got the World Cup coming up, hasn't he? And he probably needs to get his match fitness. I'm just surprised that it wasn't a Premiership team. I'm surprised the level he's went in at. I think we'll see how it pans out. I'm not going to sit down and watch West Brom's games, but I'll keep an eye out and see if Roger gets a goal or whatever. But yeah, I'm surprised that there wasn't a bigger team coming for him. Or maybe there was and he's knocked him back, who knows? Because I think it's strange just the way Roger chose to leave. We had the option of a year and we didn't take it up, and he's left in a free and stayed in the UK. It's a bit of a strange one altogether.
Yeah, he spoke about, reflecting, I think, in his career up until now and whatnot. And it is a bit of a strange one. I think he has said in his interview yesterday that he knocked back teams from Indonesia and the A-League. So there was a chance here, obviously, to go back to Australia, but he's opted for West Brom. Do you think that's possibly a bit of thinking in this, Lawrence, from the perspective that Australia's obviously got this World Cup coming up in November? If he does want to be a part of the plans there for the World Cup, I know he missed the playoff game against Peru. That he's going to need to get himself up to speed. And I'm sure if he's had any conversations with Graham Arnold, that's been something he's been told. You need to find yourself a club and be playing football.
Yeah, he wants to be at the top of the game for what will just about almost certainly be his last World Cup should he go there. So he'll want to be at the top of his game, and he's only going to get there by maybe playing regularly. So Yeah, I'm just surprised that it's West Brom and it's not at a higher level. But good luck to him. He was a great servant for us. Gave us some outstanding memories. But we move on. We don't stop. It's all about the team tomorrow, isn't it? And the players that are still here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is all about the team tomorrow and focusing on the wins that are still here. I just found it was a bit of a strange one, but yeah, I'm sure everybody wishes them all the best. Down south, we'll see how he gets on. It's a bit of a move I think that did surprise us all, but we'll see how that one gets on. Just to give this a wee mention, we want to give as many mentions to different events that are coming up as possible. You will see in the link Acsom Live, which will be coming to you in 2023. We only Acsom contributors only found out about this yesterday, Lawrence. But yep, 20th of January 2023. Put the date in your diary. There will be an Acsom Live event. Should become a regular event in Gracie's, just in the Merchant City there, where we will be joined by a Celtic legend. Guest is not confirmed as of yet. There is a wee bit of description in the just below the video. You'll see the link there. £15 a ticket, and it is an event like no other. So it should be completely different from the norm. So please do check that out if you are one of our listeners. I think there will also be an opportunity there for you to get a meet and greet with the players. So that'll be something to look forward to, Lawrence. Again, I think you want to give us a wee nudge towards something else as well.
Yeah, Paradise Promotions. I've got Martin O'Neill at the end of this month up at Dale Park, Nicky Hood's place. So it's a brunch and a chat with Martin O'Neill. There'll be a raffle and an auction for local charities and the Kano Foundation. And I suppose then there's in October, there's Bertie's charity, isn't there?
Yep, 22nd of October down in the BAD, the Barras Art and Design Centre. There's a few musical acts on down there, which is a charity night to raise funds for the Bertie Old legacy. So you can check that one out. They're all there. There's plenty to be getting along to. Obviously, we had that lull of events through COVID and whatnot, but things start to pick back up now. Former Celts, bands, musicians, all the rest are out there. So get yourself along if you can. So, Lawrence, I know you want to turn towards a wee bit of Celtic history, just due to the situation that we find ourselves in. We don't have a game at the weekend to talk about. If we were on Thursday or Friday, we'd obviously have the Shakhtar game to reflect upon. But I think you want to talk about a famous Celtic Cup victory from the early 1950s.
Oh, maybe a few, mate. Famous one-off tournament videos. But we are the current holders of the Coronation Cup. Which, I think we won one back in 1902 or something, the British League Cup, but it was deemed the Coronation Cup. There was coronation of some, I don't know, whatever supposed king there was at that time. And then there was obviously 53. Celtic only put in as the current, because we'd won the Empire Exhibition Cup. Not the best of teams. Jockstein at centre-half, Neely Mockin in the team. And yeah, the surprise winners of the tournament. But what a tournament, mate. It was Hibs' famous five. So Manchester, Arsenal. Who else was in it? Obviously, the original Rangers.
Newcastle United, Spurs, and Aberdeen.
Newcastle just done a cup double, hadn't they?
Yep, they sure had. They'd won the FA Cup back to back. But yeah, it's one to reflect on. Obviously, we know Celtic's great history, we won off cups, but this is one that I think has a slight irony to it that Celtic would win the Cup of Coronation for the then Queen Elizabeth II, and the only reason Celtic actually entered the tournament, as you touched on, we were talking about this just before we came on, Lawrence, was because Celtic had previously won the Empire Exhibition Cup 1938.
Yeah, so we previously won that 38 with pretty decent Celtic team. And we'd won, obviously we touched on the British League Cup in 1902, which was the previous supposed British Championship. So I suppose winning the Coronation Cup made it 3 out of 3. And we quickly followed it up, what was it, 89 or something, with the Dubai Cup against Liverpool. So 4 supposed British championships, all won by Celtic. Can't be coincidence, can it? But yeah, it wasn't the best of teams getting into the Coronation Cup, was it? I think Tully was injured, wasn't he, as well? He was injured for the final. But
But it's an interesting one, and I also find it really fascinating that John Fallon was actually at that 1953 game. I think the only cup he never seen Celtic win was the St Mungo Cup. He was there in 53. He was there for the 7-1 game, obviously on the bench in Lisbon. So quite something. But yeah, to look at the quarterfinals for that, I don't think anybody gave Celtic a hope in hell against Arsenal, who had won the league in England that year, but we absolutely blew them away. Won the game 1-0, and then it was Manchester United in the semi-finals, which Celtic won the game 2-1. So right away, Celtic had swept two aside from England very, very early on in the competition.
yeah, and then Hibs in the final, their famous 5 forward line, and Celtic without their star man. But obviously, Nearly Mocking, I think, scored for 35 yards to put us one up, didn't he?
Well, it depends on what you believe, because if you watch the documentary that Paul John did on Nearly, every Celtic player talks about, cup finals and whatnot. Nearly would have them out in the park at Hampden, and the distance from goal was getting greater and greater every single time you went out there. And Big Fallon said, I think, but one of the last times we went there with Nearly, he'd scored for the halfway line in the game. An absolute rocket. But yeah, for Celtic to beat Hibs in that final, I think Jimmy Bolts was the other goal scorer for Hibs in that day. But it's one that, I think, as I say, it's very ironic that we won the tournament and that Celtic, became Coronation Cup winners then.
Yeah, Jock Stein played at centre half, Johnny Bonner in goals. But I suppose we won the original Coronation Cup, a British League Cup 02. You've won the Empire Exhibition, and you've won the 53 Coronation Cup. Maybe just showing them how it's done. It's perhaps not the two teams they expected in the final, Hibs and Celtic, but yeah, it's just one of those fairy tales about Celtic. One-off tournaments. Not the best Celtic team, but beat the best that Lizzie could send up.
Yeah, I think that's what the bit in the song says. So yeah, there we are. Before we would touch on that one, I don't know if that will be a cup Celtic will need to defend. I don't know what the circumstances around that will be now. But I think it was one that we wanted to just give a mention to.
If we do have to defend it and we win it, do we get to keep it for good then? Because that would be, 02, 53, and again that would be 3 wins.
Yeah, well, you never know.
In that original trophy, apparently there's a club wants it back, isn't there, from the 1902?
Yeah, from 1902, I think so. But I don't think they'll be getting it back anytime soon.
Well, you can't give it back; they're dead, mate.
Well,
I think now, maybe have to go to their creditors.
It depends on what you believe, who wants it back and who won things through ward years and all this stuff. But we wanted to give that a wee nudge towards that 1953 Coronation Cup win that Celtic did famously win. I know there'll be much coverage on your televisions at this point in time regards to royal events in the UK at this point in time, but we thought we'd give a wee Celtic twist.
BBC Scotland may do a programme about the Coronation Cup, retrospective on it.
Yeah, you never know. That'd be quite good. It'd be good to sit down and watch it. For the last half hour, Lawrence, I want to come to the good news yesterday that football was going to return for this weekend. That I think that was really welcome, and I think there probably was a wee bit of a worry that again football was possibly going to be postponed. I know that there's Europa League fixtures being postponed due to policing. Champions League fixture in Glasgow tonight postponed due to policing and whatnot. But I think it was really welcome news that football was going to come back for this weekend for Celtic to get back to league duty.
Yeah, one of the few sports that was postponed, and yeah, if people want to pay their respects, that's fine. But it just seemed to kind of punish a whole load of people by withdrawing the football. But I suppose it's up to the authorities what sports go ahead and don't. So glad to see it back on. And it's hopefully we beat Shakhtar and we continue a good form into the game at the weekend.
Yeah, hopefully we will do. As I said earlier, I think having Livingston as a caveat would have really, really helped Celtic. It would have just helped us dust the cobwebs off if there was any coming off the back of that Real Madrid game. But it's given us well over a week to prepare for it now, which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing. I asked Matt O'Reilly last week in his presser, did it suit, Celtic more having, Tuesday, Wednesday into the weekend games? He spoke about the size of our squad at this point in time, and that being something that probably did benefit the team. It allowed for rotation to happen. It allowed players to get minutes under their belt, but we've not had that. Lawrence, having 7 days fully off after the game, do you think that's going to help Celtic? Even though we'd have much preferred having a game on at the weekend against Livingston.
I think the first few league games, I don't really think we got out of first gear, although we won them easily. And I think 2 games a week, certainly against Real, we raised our game. I think we'd started to kind of step up the levels. So I'd have rather seen us play and keep the 2 games a week up and get the team right up to speed. That being said, it's St Mirren away. You'd fully expect to take the points whether you've got 1 or 2 games, wouldn't you? You'd expect us to take the points. So I'd rather we be playing 2 games, but Shakhtar's the big one. Beat Shakhtar, the team will be on a high. We've just got to keep up the good form. It's not long until the World Cup kicks off, so it's just get the points in the bag. Nothing's won this early, but if you win all your games up until then, you put yourself in a good position. So for me, rather 2 games a week, but we've only had 1, so we've got Shakhtar to get back up to speed, hopefully get a decent performance, and then it's back for Sunday.
Yeah, it's back for Sunday. One of the points coming in here is a regular Tuesday contributor coming in to say they'd preferred the Livy game to be on rather than the rest. Momentum critical in sport, absolutely. And I think Lawrence, as I said there, my biggest fear was that Real Madrid could have potentially been Celtic's last game in September, leading into the beginning of October, which is a long time not to be playing football. Because obviously we're getting an international break now, so I think it was really, really important that we had the game at the weekend coming, given the green light, because I think for me there was a wee bit of fear that had it been cancelled, it's a hell of a long time to not be playing domestic or European football.
Yeah, they've been a long way off, especially although I don't think up until maybe the Real game we really get out of first gear. It does take the momentum away, doesn't it? Especially when you're putting in the ones. Yeah. So hopefully, a win tomorrow, a win at the weekend, and it just continues where we were before the Real game. It'd be better to play Livy, but then again, I think Martindale always, makes his team hard to beat for us, and I think he's maybe taken more points off us than Stevie Robertson has. So maybe it's good to get something, but you'd expect to take these points in a row, didn't you? You just want to see us do that. Keep the pressure on at the top of the league. If we keep winning, it keeps the pressure on.
Yeah, it certainly will keep the pressure on. It's one that I think we'll be looking forward to again. It's going to be disappointing that Celtic's got an allocation cut for this game going forward. I think there's been enough said probably around the cut and allocation going into this game at St Mirren and the club having this £30 thing for fans to play. But it will be good to get back to domestic duties after this. But having this game...
St Mirren saying to their fans, well, we'll cut the allocation, but are you going to step in? And I'd like to know the uptake of St Mirren fans stepping in and making up that shortfall of cash. Because they were saying, would you help us? Would you put some money in to make up for the money we're losing by restricting this?
No, absolutely. I found that a bit of a strange one myself as well, Lawrence. But, if that's the thing they want to pursue and they think it's going to be a positive going forward for them, fair enough. But we'll see what the uptake's like in Paisley on Sunday, where the home end stands are full. I don't expect them to be full, but we'll soon see what it's like. Just in terms of looking forward just a wee bit to the weekend, do you expect there to be too many changes after the game in midweek? Because as I say, there's the potential for players not to be given too much football up until the beginning of October. I think that's a home game against Motherwell or something at Celtic Park. Obviously, we're looking forward a good bit there, but do you see that Ange might use the squad in these 2 games just because having that wee lull off?
I think he might use it against St Mirren. Obviously, depending how things go and who's fit after tomorrow night, I think you might see a few changes for, away to New St Mirren Park. It'd be good to see, Haksabanovic maybe get a start if he gets a few more minutes against Shakhtar.
I think he's a player everybody's excited to see, isn't he?
Yeah, so maybe seeing him get a start. But it's going to depend what happens tomorrow night. But I think this season with the Champions League to contend with and a real chance of a qualifying second place, we will see him utilise the squad. But we done it away at Ross County, didn't he? He utilised the squad. I appreciate it wasn't the league, but it didn't seem to have any adverse effects. So you may see him try it away at St Mirren as well.
Yeah, well, you might see him try it away at St Mirren. I think it just depends. I don't know if, it just, we're in a situation here which we just haven't really found ourselves, ever in too regularly. Having football called off at the weekend, if it was something we experienced in COVID times and whatnot, but we're into, the middle of September now. But I think having this Champions League game might just be the right kind of fixture for Celtic coming back off after the weekend off. Obviously, same competition that we played in last week, different opposition. Yes, we're away from home this time, but Shakhtar might just be the type of team that might suit us, because there's different angles coming at this from people in the comments. They think that Shakhtar will be quite happy to sit and just play Celtic in the break. They'll obviously have the advantage of playing a game at the weekend, but Celtic, again, have had a lot of time off and to prepare for this game, so you'd expect Celtic to go into this game in really, really good shape.
Listen, if Shakhtar sit in, I think Ange will be over the moon if they decide to sit in and let us have the ball and attack them. I think Ange's team is built for that, creating chances. And it's just about being a bit more clinical. If we'd been more clinical against Real Madrid, you've got Abada, you've got Maeda, you could hardly have been 2-0 up. If we'd got the first goal with Abada, it gives the team something to hold on to. So it's about being a bit more clinical at this level. Maybe a bit of a harsh lesson against Real, but hopefully the boys have learnt and we do get chances and take them this time. But I'd certainly welcome it if Shakhtar decided to sit in and just let us, not come on to them. Because we're used to that style of playing Scotland, aren't we? We're used to teams sitting in. It's not something we haven't faced. We're a bit less used to teams actually wanting to come out and attack us. Yeah,
well, it's something that, as you say, we're definitely used to in Scottish football. But if Shakhtar do start to leave gaps, that's when you're hoping that Celtic can start to open them up a wee bit. A question coming in here from Kevin Graham, and that's a really good point to actually make here. One of probably the parts of the game where Shakhtar will be looking to get in the front foot of Celtic is going to be down their left-hand side. Now, Mudryk had a very good game for Ukraine against Scotland, if I remember back, at the end of May, start of June, whenever that game was. He's going to be up against Josip Juranovic down that flank. Do you think that's potentially somewhere that Celtic will need to be very, very well focused and making sure that we stop his play? Obviously, he scored last week as well against Leipzig.
Yeah, the style we play, we're really looking for full-backs to be on the game. He's the star of the team. You've got to try and nullify him, haven't you? Or watch him, make sure he doesn't get chances. Limit the chances they get. So it will be interesting to watch. But I think Juranovic has shown he can do it at a high level. So I'd expect him to perform well. I think for our team, it's really about how we perform and get in front of goal. It's about taking our chances. Maybe not so much about, it is about limiting them, but it's really more about our performances taking our chances. And the layoff for Kyogo, hopefully, he's fully recovered for his injury and he adds a bit. I think we'll start him. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch and what they do. But I think Ange's style's more about making it about what we do, isn't it? How we take our chances, how many we create. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of different takes coming in here in Shakhtar, which is great. Please do keep them coming. One thing that's came up in the comments here, Lawrence, is when we were discussing Abada and Maeda earlier on, we were obviously talking about their attacking ability, but something coming in here from the comments is that he would play Maeda and on that side, obviously you've got that versatility between him and Jota, that the two of them can switch to double up to stop him running forward. Do you think that might also be something that Ange Postecoglou considers going into this game?
Yeah, but listen, we saw Maeda switch over away at Ibrox the other year to help drew out when he wasn't having the best of starts in the game. So yeah, I think Maeda offers more defensively than Jota does. So if you think they're going to come more down that side, it's an easy change for us to make that doesn't disrupt the team too much, does it? You know, we know Jota's good coming in from the left and switching it to his right foot. So yeah, you could expect to see it. I don't know about from the start. I think we'll maybe see how Juranovic gets on before making the switch, because you can make it during the game. You know, it's not a huge change to make. We made it at Ibrox during the game after 15-20 minutes or something.
Yeah, that's correct. I think it's something that gives us probably a bit more versatility in the game. Obviously, with that, you know, that comment in there, we know all about this boy in terms of his pace and everything he's got there. You might be looking for that idea of doubling up on him to halt him. Something else coming in, talking about Shakhtar at this point in time, is that they defended very well too last week, and obviously they conceded, but they then started to pick Leipzig apart, and that has been something that Steve has highlighted in the comments, Lawrence, that they were excellent in the counter-attack. But I think Celtic, even although, you know, we were, if you want to say, caught out against Real Madrid, we were up against top quality in the counter-attack, and I think that's one of the biggest things that Celtic need to improve on and work on European football, is that focus. And, you know, if we are attacking forward and lose the ball, it's getting back in numbers and defending properly.
Yeah, listen, most teams in Scotland try to hit us on the counter-attack. I don't think Shakhtar are the level of most teams in Scotland. I think they're above it, but, you know, they're not at the level of Real Madrid. They're somewhere kind of in the middle. If we can get an early goal, you know, first 15-20 minutes, you might see us bring on Moy, switch to a double pivot just to kind of soak that up. It'll be interesting to see if we get an early goal if Ange then decides to change it a bit, just to kind of nullify their attack or make us a bit more solid.
Yeah, we'll soon see. Just to bring in this comment, I think from Paul in the background, he wants to thank everyone who's already purchased their tickets for Gracie's. Like Paul, I think we're all really looking forward to meeting some Acsom viewers. It's always nice to meet folk at events and at games and whatnot. So yeah, it's an event to be excited about, and we'll see where Celtic are at come January 2023. Hopefully we've got European football, and you never even know, Champions League football after Christmas by that point. Just to come on this one, Lawrence, I know it was something that we spoke earlier on about the games going forward. Kevin's also asked, who do you think's under the most pressure going into this game, Celtic or Shakhtar? But what is your thoughts on this one? Because I think for Shakhtar, obviously they've got one in the group, so far, good victory. As I say, whether they caught Leipzig at a good time, I think will be revealed tomorrow night. But with them, but do you think with this being their first game that there's maybe a wee bit of expectancy also on them, because, you know, there'll be a real collective spirit behind them in the stadium tomorrow evening, and they'll be hoping with the form that their teams in, I think they're second in the league at this point in Ukraine, that they can produce against Celtic.
So I think of both teams, you know, it sat down when the draw was made and the fixtures were announced. Celtic looked at their first two fixtures and said, well, look, maybe not take anything for Real, but we'd hope to win on the road against Shakhtar. We'd hope to be in 3 points. And Shakhtar's maybe looked at it and went, maybe not take anything for Leipzig, but, you know, we'll hopefully win against Celtic at home and be in 3 points. They're already getting into the game in 3 points. So I would say they're probably under less pressure. You know, they're ahead of where we expect to be. We're probably where we expected to be, but I'd say they're under less pressure, but because they've already got points on the board. You know, it is a must-win game for us. I don't think it's a must-win game for them. If they take a point here, you know, they're on 4, we're on 1. You'd expect Leipzig to get beat. I think they'd be happy with a point.
Yeah, I think they probably would be happy with a point. And, you know, with no disrespect to ourselves, it's probably the team that the other groups are looking at, thinking, you know, we'll have a good go against them, just because, you know, the mentality of it is that Celtic's been out of Champions League for so long, and they'll think that, you know, we're the team that they can pick points up against. But I think what's a really important point to make in this, is coming here from Jerry McCann in the comments, is that he doesn't think Ange will set the team up to worry about them. He'll set this team up to win the game, and I think they will be worried about us. We know that's the mentality of Ange Postecoglou, Lawrence. We won't be going over here to just play for a draw. Even though you and I are saying, we'd probably be quite happy as long as we don't win the game. I think the full intention from Ange Postecoglou and the team at this point will be to go and win the game tomorrow night, which would be, brilliant if we could go and get the 3 points in Warsaw. It would really set us well up for the group, I think, especially for that back-to-back double-header against Leipzig if they get beat tomorrow night by Real Madrid.
Listen, Shakhtar will have watched videos of our last 2 games. They'll know us intimately, and they'll know that we get out to attack. They'll have seen us do it against Scotland's newest team. They've seen us do it against, arguably the world's most successful team. So they know what style they're going to face. I think Ange is kind of, you watch the press conferences and you kind of see him getting a wee bit fed up, of the questions: are you going to change your style? Are you going to adapt? And he's just like, no, this is my style. This is my system. This is what I do. So yeah, we're definitely going to get out to attack and to win the game. And Shakhtar, as I said, I think they would be happy with a point. They'd be happier than us with the point. So I think they're under less pressure. But it is about taking our chances, as Rory says. If we'd taken our chances against Real, you'd been 1-up at half time. It would have been a different game. It would have given the team something to hold on to, give them a bit more energy. But we need to convert those chances into goals, don't we? And we really need to do it tomorrow night. I think, if we want to qualify, we need to win on the road tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I might just agree with you in that one, Lawrence. I think obviously there's going to be a lot of games to play. I don't think Celtic can afford to lose in Poland tomorrow night, but it's one that we're going to need to look at. And again, I think there will be lessons learned from last week, and it'll be something that Ange Postecoglou, you could see how gutted he was last week after how much we'd given in that game against Real Madrid. And that'll be something I think that will be probably at the back of some of the Celtic players' minds, is that they need to take those chances and bury the game and go there. I think as Jerry said in that comment that he put in there, we will look to win the game, but it's about taking the chances, and we really need to do that tomorrow night.
Yeah, it was probably a harsh lesson. Was it a 3-0 game? We'll score 3 goals. We didn't score any, but on chances created, we should probably had a couple of goals there. So it's what happens when you step up on levels, isn't it? You don't get as many chances, and you've got to convert the ones that you get, or you've got to convert a higher percentage of them. We've touched on it. We've done it last year in the Europa. We scored away from home, so I don't see any reason why we can't score away tomorrow. So
yeah, but that's something that you've got, as I said, at the top of the swirler. We scored at least 2 goals in every single group stage game last year. I know loads of folk will go back to Bodo Glimt and looking at that game. Ange Postecoglou has admitted that by the time we went to Norway, he'd basically, said that this game wasn't going to be the priority for the team. Was all eyes towards the league title, and we, basically chucked it, to give it a better expression. But certainly group stage games last year, we could score against any team. In the group, we scored a minimum of at least 2 goals, and there's no reason why tomorrow night we can't score goals. Something that we'll be disappointed about we didn't do against Real Madrid, but we can certainly put that to bed when we go to Warsaw tomorrow night.
Yeah, that I think the whole team will be feeling, if we've just taken our chances. They're going out with they know it's probably a miss win. They'll have an ambition in that group to qualify from it. They're not daft. They'll say, look, we need to win this. We need to take our chances. I think maybe there was a wee bit of stage fright. It's Real Madrid with some of the players. I don't think you're going to get that stage fright against Shakhtar. I don't think anybody grows up dreaming of playing against Shakhtar. They may grow up dreaming of playing against Real, or even like Callum said, he was asked, who do you want to draw? He didn't say, I'd love to draw Shakhtar. It was like, I'd love to draw Real Madrid. So I don't think Shakhtar hold the same fear factor, which will hopefully be in our favour. We'll get rid of any stage fright. And yeah, it's about creating chances and taking them when we create them.
Yeah, it might just be that kind of perfect type of game. One of the comments here coming in and saying, let's hope by the end of it, it's not a game of what ifs for Celtic. We certainly don't want that. As you say, Lawrence, there might have just been, for a lot of players, I think it's easy to forget, apart from Callum McGregor and guys like Anfred Ralston and James Forrest in the group, it was a fresh team that hadn't played Champions League football for Celtic. I know Joe Hart's played Champions League for Manchester City, but it was a fresh group, and maybe just that type of game, starting the group off with everything surrounding it, there was a wee bit of nerves, a wee bit of tension going into tomorrow night. Hopefully that's lifted, and having such a long lull off it has allowed Celtic to prepare thoroughly and properly for this game, which I'm sure we do. We've had a lot more time to do that going into it. And as I said earlier on, I'm really hoping that we can probably actually go to Poland and win the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, with that time off, we've certainly had enough time to study Shakhtar without, the game at the weekend. Hopefully that's what we've been using it, getting the videos in, identifying where weaknesses and where we can capitalise. So, yeah, I don't think they'll hold the same fear as or all factor as Real Madrid happened. A lot of the players, they've got that first game out of the way now. They know what kind of level they need to hit. So, yeah, I'd expect us to take something. It'd be interesting. I think Starfelt's out. Will be Jens, won't it, at the start?
Yeah, I think Starfelt's still out with a knee injury at this point in time, so it'll be Moritz Jens still in there, who, by the way, I thought played very well last week. I know, again, you look at it, we conceded 3 goals, but I thought that the big man was absolutely rock solid at the back.
Yeah, I think it gives us a better balance at the back. It looks decent, as an attacking option for any corners we get. So, yeah, I thought he did a good game. So, looking forward to see how he performs. And he's a guy that had to be short of minutes, and March sharpness when he came to us. So, I think he's getting better the more he plays. So, yeah, we've got to go there and aim to take the points. But time will tell what happens.
Yeah, time will tell what happens in the game. We're obviously drawn to a close. If anybody's didn't join us just at the start of the broadcast, we did mention an Acsom live event in January 2023. If you look in the description below the video, the link is there to purchase tickets. And that will be a live event in Gracie's in Merchant City. And come along. It's £15 for the tickets. I think there is an option there possibly for a meet and greet ticket too. And it will be an event like no other. So it will be different from the norm. It's something that we're all looking forward to. So if you fancy that, in the comments below is the link to go on and buy the tickets. So please do so. Lawrence, we touched earlier on, striking options, whatnot. What is your team going into tomorrow night compared to the team that faced Real Madrid last week at Celtic Park?
Joe Hart, Juranovic, Kamkat Vickers, Jens Taylor. It's that Kalnick. I don't think we can drop Rio after his performance, so I don't think we'll see the double pivot start the game. Leave Matt O'Reilly in, and I'd probably start. Well, I think Jota definitely starts, and I would go with Kyogo and Maeda as a start.
Yeah, I'd actually agree. I think that might be one of the first times you and I have agreed in a whole starting 11. But yeah, I think Kyogo, that was something I think against Ferencvaros last year, and this might be the way we might end up comparing these 2 games against Shakhtar. I'm looking at the team that probably Celtic are closest to in terms of what we've got on paper, and hoping to get 6 points against. Something Ange said in that presser, 9 points. If you come out of this group with 9 points, you'll be absolutely delighted. And I think if you come out of this group with 9 points, you're probably through at the last 16 of the tournament. But with Ferencvaros last year, Lawrence, the front three that we played over there, Jota, Abada, Kyogo, we saw their real firepower in that game over there in Ferencvaros. I think that's something that we might be looking to do tomorrow night. And that's just that ball in behind. Jacko doesn't give you. He gives you your physical strength. He gives you a really strong runner that will battle and be in the penalty box when you get chances. But I just think that wee splitting ball in behind, if we do get it right, it creates chances for Celtic.
Yeah, definitely. I think it. A few of the commentators have said, they expect Shakhtar to sit in and hitting the break, and I think Kyogo's better facing a team like that. He finds the pockets of space better, doesn't he, or creates them. So, yeah, I think Kyogo's the guy to start. Giakoumakis will come on, maybe, hopefully, when we've softened them up and a few goals up. But listen, both of them are going to get minutes, aren't they? Yeah, so both of them are capable of scoring against a team like Shakhtar. So it's just about making sure we make the best of our chances. But yeah, definitely start Kyogo for me.
Yeah, I'd definitely start Kyogo tomorrow night. I think he's just a player that is explosive for Celtic. I don't think Giakoumakis did himself any harm last week. And he knows that, he's going to be given chances throughout the season. But I just think for tomorrow night's game, it's one that I want to compare to a Ferencvaros type idea, but I think that Celtic can certainly get a result in Warsaw. There's no reason why we can't win the game. We'll be looking, any Bundesliga outfit you're going to get drawn against is going to be tough. I would like us to hopefully take at least 3 points off a Leipzig in one of the games. But Shakhtar's a one that I'm looking at, like Ferencvaros last year, Lawrence in the group, and hoping that home and away Celtic, if it's not 6 points, is possibly 4 points, because I think this is the one that you need to be taking something, the team that you definitely need to be taking something from if you're wanting to look at European football after Christmas.
Yeah, if I'm just talking about 9 points, where are you expecting it to come from? Your 2 home games is 6, and it's either Leipzig or Shakhtar on the road for the other 3. So I think before the group was drawn, you would have said Shakhtar's the most likely place to get them. And we spoke about it earlier. I don't think after match day 2 you can afford to be 6 points behind Shakhtar.
Yeah, well, we'll soon see. Hopefully a Celtic victory tomorrow evening. Thanks to all our commenters for joining us today. Football will be back for Celtic. I think that's going to be a sigh of relief for all of us tomorrow evening. And it's an earlier kickoff. I think it's a 5:45 kickoff tomorrow night, isn't it, Lawrence, for us? So that's another positive, that we don't need to wait till 8 o'clock tomorrow. And we get to see our team back in action. Thanks for everyone for commenting today. And we will be here every step of the way, previewing tomorrow night's game. We'll be on with our coverage of the game, and also looking forward to St Mirren on Sunday. Thanks to all our commenters. Have a great day, and thank you for